the woman. Everyone is calling strong. And this is video for you and for the society to hear this. I hear this all the time with the women in my sessions, and somebody who went through post 10 years and it's a whole decade post-divorce. We don't hear that as a compliment. We look at that sentence very differently, because more and more I see women who have gone through divorce, relationship breakdowns, financial hardships, and raising children, becoming the parent who stayed, and becoming the person who had to keep life moving. And everybody calls them strong. And some of us, we have no family, no backup. And I want you to ask yourself a different question. Where was everybody while she was being strong? Because there is something very deep about this, and the way how we celebrate someone's resilience and mixing it with strong. We admire the person who carried everything by herself. But very rarely do we ask why they had to carry everything in the first place on their own. A woman goes through a divorce. She has children. She keeps turning up every single day, even on the sick days, because there is no one. She works, she feeds, she remembers birthdays. She gets the children where they need to go. School, medical appointments, friends, anything. And she has to manage her emotions, managing her children's emotions. She manages house, herself. There is no one to help her. And people look at her and they say, I don't know how you do it. Well, quite often, neither she does. She just does. Why? Because what is her alternative? This is where I think we confuse the strength with a choice. And sometimes the strength is the conscious expressions of who we are. And sometimes strength is simply what develops and there is nobody there to catch you. And those are two very different patterns or themes. And if somebody survives, let's go say 10 years of carrying everything, we start assuming that carrying everything is natural for them. It isn't. It becomes so familiar. And there is a difference. A familiarity is powerful. Yeah, it is. Because after enough years, even the woman herself starts saying, I am independent. I don't need anybody. I will just do it. And sometimes she means it. But sometimes underneath that independence is a much older understanding what she experienced. If I don't do it, it won't get done. And now we are no longer talking about the strength. We're talking about an adaptation. An adaptation that may have served her beautifully. It got her through the divorce. It got her through children, through, let's go say, difficult years, teenagers' years, hormonals. It got her to keep food on table, keep life moving. And I'm not demonizing that part. It deserves absolutely respect. I'm just showing you if you never experienced this. But what it can happen is this. When that woman finally enters a chapter where she doesn't need to fight anymore, what happens? Can she receive? Can she rest? Can somebody else take responsibility without her immediately stepping in? Can she say, I need help, without her body interpreting it that as a weakness? That's where the deeper work begins. And there is another side of this conversation that belongs to all of us. We need to stop using women's resilience as a evidence that they don't need support, and that is for the society to see this. Someone being capable does not remove society's responsibility to care. Someone being independent does not mean we shouldn't show up. Someone managing does not mean that they aren't exhausted. And the support doesn't always begin with question, how are you? Because most women in my world have spent years holding everything together, and they know exactly how to answer that question with the simple words of saying, I'm fine. And they're not. So support is much more simpler, and it's in actions. I brought dinner. I've got kids. I will take them to the sport. I'm coming with you. I've taken care of that. Or, no, you don't need to organize anything. Just show up. That's the support. And show up, I was talking about the dinner or parties or anything like that. Don't admire her strength from the sidelines. Participate in her life. Participate, physically participate. And there's a broader conversation here about women and a society. We thought women to be incredibly capable. Example, build a career, raise children, manage the home. That's your responsibility now when you had a divorce, like she had a choice. And the money, heal yourself, stay attractive, stay healthy, stay fit, stay emotionally available. All the labels we given to that woman. And she's not complaining. But then when she does say, I'm tired, we give her another technique for becoming better at carrying the load. That's what I see when women come and see me. And they go, I've just been giving this all the time. Like, journal, have a bath, regulate your nervous system. I don't do that with them. We do different things. And sometimes her nervous system isn't asking for another breathing fucking exercise, because it's asking this. Why am I doing all of this alone? And society and people are watching. Because not every burden is an internal problem to heal. Sometimes the burden is genuinely too heavy. Sometimes what needs to change is not the woman, it's the amount she's being asked to carry by herself. Let that land in. I know it's heavy. And sometimes she doesn't need to become stronger. Sometimes everybody around her needs to become more supportive, more available, more being there. She can look at her parts of herself and say she doesn't want to have help. Yeah? But don't let society to not to help. Yeah? Because she can learn to receive. And then the people around her can learn to give willingly, without attachment. She can release the identity of the woman who has to carry everything on her own, without denying that extraordinary strength that got her here to this point. And that's the duality that I want to show you. And I honor the woman who survived. She can say that and refuse to demand that she spends the rest of her life surviving. Because there comes the point where the strength needs to become a choice again, where she goes and she can say, I can carry this, but I no longer have to. Yeah? And to me, there is a very different definition of the power. And as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. As a society, I would like that people take a little bit more care, compassion, and responsibility when they see. And I talk about women, because women are majority of my clients. And I went through that. So I talk about it from this point, but I know the men are there too. And maybe they're in the same position, and maybe you know someone. And don't just ask, how are they? It's not easy to carry everything by yourself. And I know this because I can speak through what I went through from 10 years ago to now. And without co-parenting, without no family. It is not easy, it's challenging. Yeah? So this is where, if you know someone who's going through it, not to just stand on the sidelines, actively participate in their life if you can possibly.